I make over 100K a month with properties that I don't own, I don't have mortgages on, I don't have any down payments on, and I don't even live in the same country as them. This is called Airbnb Arbitrage, and it completely changed my life. And I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. So if you've seen my other video, you'll have seen that before I got into this business model, I had a complete mental breakdown. I was basically wiped off the planet for 2.5 years. I was suicidal. I suffered dissociation, extreme anxiety. I hated to speak with people, and I became very introverted, and I tried to end it all. And through that time, I was working as a waiter, as a bartender. Then I went into construction to work for my dad again. It was just 50 euros a day of lifting heavy stuff, basically, just building. And then I went into office work. Then I got into real estate as a sales rep. And that's when I really started to look into real estate and started to see that people, have real estate, they rent it out, and while it's making money, they can go and live and do what they want with their life. That's what first got me interested. But yeah, I absolutely lost everything. I came out the other side of that with no skills, no qualifications, no path, and really no vision, or had no idea what I was going to do, basically. And then after my first business failed, which was a surf camp, it failed because of 2020. Everybody knows what happened in 2020. That ruined my business. And also I was doing the marketing, the sales, I was teaching people to surf, I was cleaning, I was making people breakfast. I was just working all day long to try and make this business work, and it wasn't a great business model. And that is when I was scrolling on Instagram, actually, and I came across an Airbnb millionaire from London. And he became a millionaire by renting other people's properties. And this is where we're going to go into the actual business model, that is Airbnb Arbitrage. So what is Airbnb Arbitrage? What do I actually do? So step number 1 is you have to go and find a place that you can sublease. So you have to go and find somewhere and negotiate with the owners so that you can sublease their property. Now, some people say it's illegal in this place or whatever, or nobody's going to let you do that, or they actually think it's illegal just because they've heard of stories of people doing it illegally. So let me set this straight first. If you do it illegally, it means you haven't told the owner what you're going to do, you haven't signed a contract including subleasing, and you're basically just doing it without telling anybody. That is illegal. You don't do that. Okay? So step number 1 is to do it legally and actually find somewhere and negotiate with the homeowner. Step number 2 is you're going to convert it into an Airbnb. Now, there's a huge difference in an Airbnb and just a normal property. Okay? If anybody's got, a normal home, you have a kitchen, some bedrooms, pretty basic style, and that's about it. An Airbnb, you want to set up a whole experience. So you want people to go there for a reason, because the style is different, because the amenities are different from what you have at home, because it's going to be an experience for either you or you and your girlfriend or a family or whatever niche you're going to get into. But Airbnb is all about experience. So somebody needs to go to where your Airbnb is for a reason. The reason could always be the area or the location, but when you get to higher levels in Airbnb, you want to create the experience for them. So now, step number 3 is you want to make sure it's profitable. So, for example, let's say you're paying 2,000 euros a month in rent. You want to at least make that money in the first 10 days. That's how I run my business. Because if you can pay that in the first 10 days, then you've got roughly another 20 days of potential profit that you can make. So imagine you're spending 2,000 euros a month on rent, and then you're earning, let's say, 6,000 a month in income, in Airbnb rental income. Now you've got more or less 4,000 euros of profit. Obviously, you have more expenses. You have electricity, water, Wi-Fi. Depends how big your business is. You have workers and blah, blah, blah. But you can see how the business model works. So just as an example, I have a big villa in Spain, and I pay 5,000 euros a month. And some months, it makes me 20,000 a month. Just one property. So that's how the business works. So you can just imagine how it would be if you scaled that to 10 properties. Even 5 properties at that level is huge. But then you could go to 10, you could go to 20, whatever you desire and whatever your desired outcome is. So for freedom, I always recommend people go and they stay with a low number of bigger units because it's just a much better strategy. But basically, that is Airbnb arbitrage. Now I'm going to take you guys through the first Airbnb property that I got. So I was paying 2,500 euros per month in rent, and I was making roughly 2,500 euros in 10 days. So I was making it up in 10 days, and then I was, going on to make 5,000 plus profit per month. And that was my first ever Airbnb arbitrage deal. And I actually ended up buying that. So I do own that one now, but I started off renting it for 5 years. So I didn't get into purchasing real estate for 5 years. I was just doing Airbnb arbitrage, and I was just upping my cash flow. Because every property you get, you up your cash flow, and then you can spend on buying and whatever you want to do in the future with that. So what I did is, because I didn't have the money at the start, I asked them if I could pay them a deposit later on in the contract. So after 6 months of me renting that property, then I could come to them, I could pay the 1 or 2 month deposit that they wanted. So that's also something you guys can use if you don't have so much money to get started. But the first Airbnb was what really blew my mind, because when I had it rented, the first week I got a weekly booking, I went surfing. And I was in the water like 2-3 times a day, and I would come out and I would eat outside and in a restaurant, and I would check my phone and I would make sure the guests were okay, and they were okay. And I was like, wow, I don't really need to do anything. And that was where everything changed for me. And that was the biggest change probably in my entire life, because I actually found the way to get freedom. Now, getting freedom it's not going to be easy for anybody, because most humans are craving freedom. But it's so worth it, and it's not really that hard. Like, I've done many different business models and tried and studied and seen inside a lot of different businesses. And I can tell you that there is none as simple as Airbnb arbitrage. Now, I get a lot of questions, because obviously before you start in a business model, you're going to have a lot of doubts. It happens to everybody. Your mind is going to go into survival mode, and it's going to ask all the questions, all the negatives. Is it really going to work for me? Can I do it on a low budget? Is it legal? Are landlords going to say yes? And I have answers to all of your questions. So about landlords, the first landlord you go to might not say yes, but then it becomes a numbers game. Okay? Fortunately for me, my first one said yes. But for other people, it might take you 10, 20 talks with homeowners for you to get your first deal. But at the end of the day, we're talking about your freedom. Like, what is your freedom worth? Is your freedom worth talking with 20 homeowners? I would say yes. So if you have a better plan, execute that. But I haven't found a better plan. So then we come back to the legality. Is it legal? It is legal almost in every part of the world. There will be some exceptions, but I have never gone to a place and experienced that exception, because most people think it's illegal, but actually what you need to do is change the contract. Okay? It is illegal in most of the world if you have a basic contract. But what people fail to understand is that you can make contracts. You don't have to take a basic contract and that is the only contract that exists. We inside our academy, we give you the contracts to use. So you don't have to go and get a lawyer to create you one and everything and make sure it's all okay. We give you the templates that we use in our business. So that is not an issue. Another thing people say is, do I need a load of money, to go and buy Airbnbs or to leave big down payments on Airbnbs? And no, you don't. You do need some money if you're going to start in arbitrage. I started with a 10,000 euro loan from the bank, and that was enough to get me to where I am today. So you can start with much less than that if you want, and if you have more than that, then that's perfect. You can scale faster than other people. But you don't need a lot of money. It's nothing compared to buying real estate and investing in real estate. This is where you start getting into real estate. This is where you develop your cash flow to then become a real estate investor in the future and buy your own Airbnbs. Now, one property might make you 2,000 euros, 5,000 euros, 10,000 euros, 15,000 euros if you go for bigger ones like I do. So I just want you guys to see the bigger picture. If you want to make 100K a month, then with 10 to 20 of these properties, you're there already. So after your first property, it does get easier because you've already done it once. You just replicate, and then you replicate again. And then what happens is you start spending less time on them, because now you can get employees. that do the hard work for you. So now you have more time, you make more money, and your business is bigger. And then when you reach the level of automation that I've reached, you can then go and become an Airbnb nomad if you desire. I chose becoming an Airbnb nomad over building a huge business because I value freedom. So I want to live in Bali, Thailand, Dubai, Miami. I want to travel around. I want to work from my laptop. And that's how I want to live my life. So that's how I built my Airbnb business. And if not, I would have stayed in Spain and I would have just built the biggest short-term rental company that exists there. But that wasn't what I wanted. That's not my life path. But you can also do that. That's also an option. But I just want to give you guys the vision that if you get 3, 4, 5 villas subleasing with good contracts, you can then become Airbnb nomads, and you can come to Bali, Thailand. You can live from your laptop and make good money. And not only that, but you'll be able to see the months coming up how much you're going to make before you're even there. So you can see, like I can see right now how much I'm going to make in December with the bookings that I currently have. So that it's not like a sales job where you have to consistently sell, and if you don't sell, you don't get any money. It's you can see the bookings coming in next year, even 2 years in advance in some of my bigger places. So I know I'm already going to get paid, and my costs are already covered then. And unless there's a huge natural disaster or whatever. But for the most of it, you can see and you're comfortable that you're going to make money for the next month, and you can already see that. So that's something awesome in this business model. Now, this video was just the overview. We're going to be posting more videos with way more value. I'm going to be going over, obviously, like at the Airbnb business, because one of my main pillars in my life is freedom. It's my biggest pillar. Obviously, we're into fitness, mental health, going on crazy adventures and doing cool stuff. But Airbnb is what got me here. So we're going to be making more videos to give you guys more information and way more value. We're going to be going into which properties to look for, which zones to look for, how to set them up, how to negotiate with landlords, how to do your pricing, how to know how much to spend on them, how to design them, and all of these things. Like all of the good stuff we're going to be posting here. So subscribe, because you're going to be getting way more value coming up. And we've just upgraded the setup. How good is this studio? I love it. We're actually in my home gym right now in Bali. We just turned all the lights off in the gym, and we have a little corner for this studio. So let me know, comment below. Let me know how, if you think it's good, if you think we can improve anything. But I think the quality has gone up a lot. So I'm pretty stoked. And before I go, like and subscribe. And I am going to put below a free guide to your first 5 steps to getting and locking in your first Airbnb property. So click the link, click like and subscribe first so that you can be a part of this channel, because we're literally starting this channel fresh again. I had 2 other channels, but I stopped posting a long time ago. So like and subscribe, that's going to really help the channel, and we're going to stay connected. And that way I can deliver you guys way more value in Airbnb and other parts of your life. Peace.